Miigwech for that warm welcome. I want everyone to close their eyes. Close your eyes. When I count up to 4, I want you to breathe in through your nose and hold it and breathe deep. So breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it and breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it. Let it go to every part of your body that's feeling discomfort, and breathe it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your body is letting go of it, the uncertainty, the self-doubt. Keep your eyes closed. Now turn your attention to the crown of your head. There's a golden light there. Like the first light from a rising sun on a cool fall morning, the sun rises slowly, bathing your body with light from the crown of your head down the sides of your face. It covers your eyes and your nose, your mouth. There's a cool breeze, and you can smell the autumn leaves. The light travels down the rest of your body, your chest, your arms, your stomach, your thighs, your knees, to your feet, all the way to the tips of your toes. Now you're ready to hear us today. And when you're ready, open your eyes. They tried to kill us. Red light was shining on my face as I exclaimed this to my good friend Denise, who was sitting next to me in the front row of the runway. They tried to kill us, I told her. Tears were in my eyes. I think some part of me was realizing how important it was in that very moment to recognize and appreciate Indigenous beauty, to be present in my Anishinaabe body. Music cascaded around us, and beautiful Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Nehiyah, Inuk, and many other Indigenous people surrounded me. I was brimming with emotion. Face and hand tattoos, beads, fringe. The outward glow of confidence that seemed to gently beam from every individual, including myself and my friends sitting next to me. I never expected fashion, theater, or storytelling to be an exercise in peacemaking. Peacemaking with ourselves and our identities, much less a tool that I could use to teach engineering approaches. The runway lit up and a beautiful First Nation woman walked down it. Her dress was the height of Indigenous fashion, a blend of regalia and the land, a modern expression of how we want to be viewed in the 21st century and beyond, bringing the ancient to the futuristic. And I breathed. I heard a slam poet that goes by the name of Fatal Prose ask a very important question. What if water was God? In Anishinaabe culture, water actually is God. Our word for water is nebe. It has a prefix in it that has a direct reference to self, ne. It also shows up in our word for welcome, which is beamed again. Be is a reference to water. And inde is a reference to the umbilical cord. So not only is this word a welcoming of life into this world, but it's also understood as let us come together for mutual benefit. Water also shows up in the word binoji, a baby, a child. Water is the first thing they experience in this world. And water is the first sign of their welcoming. So if water is God, Fatal Prose goes on to say, what are the spiritual implications of pollution? What are the spiritual implications of releasing nearly 9 tons of metallic mercury into the drinking water of Grassy Narrows First Nation? Or the release of benzene and other pollutants at Amjunong First Nation? The uranium mining at Lac La Ronge, the oil sands at Fort Mackay, the diamond mines near Attawapiskat? Canada continues on a path of dehumanizing my people. In our traditional Otsakan, or sacred stories, we recognize these as ends of the world. Yet we are here. We are not a conquered people. We survived an end of the world, or maybe many ends of the world. And we know, as we have always known, that our safety is the safety of the land. Water continued to escape my eyes as I watched with the all too common feeling in my bones, the overwhelming joy and overwhelming grief that comes with the knowing that our people survived, that our people are still here. And what's more, we are fucking thriving. Bill C-15, an act to implement the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples passed, resulting in the release of action plan measures by the Department of Justice, for example in APM 34, a fully sovereign Indigenous energy regulatory authority. The federal budget announced tens of millions of dollars in funding to Indigenous advisory and monitoring teams who act as a mechanism of free and prior-informed consent. What's more is how free and prior-informed consent is triggered, which is by the release of hazardous materials into the environment, even if the nation doesn't hold title to that area. Which means that nations have the right to emissions profiles and information about how these assets run. My nation, in the heart of Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850 territory, just won a $10 billion settlement, and the Supreme Court just ruled that the treaty is indeed still valid. So annual inflating payments to the 21 First Nations must be ongoing. And they won that litigation through the legal recognition of our traditions, wampum belts, traditional knowledge, sacred opwagan, or pipes. First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people are bringing proponents to their knees, costing billions of dollars in lost revenue due to project delays, all because of this exact issue. The dehumanization of Indigenous people and the infiltration of that culture into our leadership and energy. And this expansion of our legal traditions, of which are entirely values-based, benefits all of us. The inclusion of Indigenous peoples calls us to look beyond what is written in law. I once asked an Anishinaabe elder from my territory what our word for safety was. And he said there wasn't one, because it's understood as a lifestyle. It's called Mino Bamadzawin, a good way of living. The 7 sacred laws of love, humility, respect, bravery, honesty, wisdom, and truth. Daba Denduizin, alone, our word for humility, is a word that means to lower yourself to the ground in recognition that you are nothing without the light of creation. Now imagine a world where an expanded understanding of humility such as this one, potentially the most critically important trait of a leader, is expanded to include the understanding that our safety is entirely dependent on the safety of the land, that we are nothing without it. And this is what I teach my students. And this is all we need to drive the energy transition. The notion of returning these teachings is the consistent antidote in essentially every sacred story I have heard in my life. Because that is the lesson. The world is ending right now, and we're being called to return to those teachings. So let's write the story of a new energy future together, one that through the humanization and uplifting of Indigenous leaders and paradigms will ultimately lead us to a bright energy future. And one where we truly get to leverage the pre-existing strength and understanding that our entire industry is built on the foundation of safety. And so we have this incredible opportunity to expand that. Miigwech and Dinawamaganadok, thank you, all my relations. Meet wet.